everybody. Welcome to the Sally Allen podcast. As you know, this podcast is a platform for people to come and share their stories of resilience. And today, I have Nestor Gibbs. I met Nestor at Sticky Pot Studio. He was recording his show here, and I heard that he has a powerful story. Now, Nestor has had his own podcast for around 11 years, and it's called The Boxing Voice. He is the host and the founder. Now, full disclosure. Normally, I would sit with our guest and I would kind of have them share their stories with me before we start the podcast. Nestor figured we should just go candid and organic all the way. So Nestor, what are you sharing with us today?
Well, I mean, I know that your show is established on resilience, and I feel that I definitely have a story of not only resilience, but perseverance, confidence, and just a won't quit attitude. I could have chose to be, I would say, like many, and sulk in my situation and maybe become a statistic. But instead, I feel that I've risen above all my mishaps that are now life lessons and have brought me to this point in my life. And I feel like I've reached a point of success, not financially, because people think that success is financial. I think that the success for me has come in being able to be proud of what I've been able to accomplish in life versus going through life allowing me to be whatever I would have been had I not continued my path and found my journey and passion in boxing.
Wow. What an intro. I'm like, so wow. You know when the professionals are on, okay?
No, not even. It's just the truth. I mean, I tell people all the time, it's like you're not working if you do what you love. And I know that's a cliche phrase, but it's really true.
Yeah. So Nestor, do you want to walk us through like where you were and how you got to where you are today and that success? Like you said, it's not finance, but it's being proud.
Absolutely. So I had a lot of twists and turns in life. I want to say that my ambition got the best of me. Mm-hmm. And I've made a lot of mistakes. And some of those mistakes resulted in me having to end up in jail multiple times. I didn't learn my lesson. Unfortunately, jail could become a bit of a networking location. The thing is that you're networking with the wrong people. But like I said, I could have been a statistic. It could have stopped there. I could have just been another person that went to jail, was on parole, and led a mediocre life, depressed, and probably not proud of himself, or my children not proud of what I would have been had I, again, not been resilient and not continued to at least seek and want more, and again, not financially, but just want more to my name than just, a list of mistakes.
Yeah. Where did you think that drive came from to be so ambitious?
I want to say it came from my mother, being Caribbean descent. I was born here in America, but both of my parents are from the Dominican Republic. And I watched my mother early on. At 17, she was able to get a job in the water department of the City Hall of Newark, New Jersey, and she retired there. But that job was never enough. And early on, my mom used to go to Canal Street in New York City, jump on the PATH train, and buy custom jewelry. Like earrings and, these chains or matching bracelets, whatever she thought the women in her office would like. And she showed me that hustler's mentality. She would go all the way to Canal, buy these things at a discounted price, bring them back and sell them in her office. So I think she really put that hustler's bug in me. And it's like I said, that energy, it just wasn't channeled or guided properly.
Yeah.
But I feel, like I've always been a hustler. And I just had to change the product.
Yeah, no, I totally get. First of all, South Americans here.
All right.
I'm from Guyana.
Okay.
Yeah. Mom's from the DR. And I get that hustle. I lived in New York City for like almost 10 years. So the train, the subway, called the subway. So I know your mom probably took the A or the J train to Canal Street. So, and I see people doing that, and that's real hustle, man, because whether it's hot or cold, because it gets really hot.
All
there,
four
cold.
seasons
All four
over there in New
seasons.
Jersey.
Yeah, yeah. I lived in New Jersey too, so have something in common. But that's awesome. So tell us what happened when you came out of jail. Like what spurred you? What helped you?
So I went in, unfortunately, right before the birth of my son, which really was something that should have gotten my attention. I should have learned my lesson right then and there. That probably would have helped things, but it didn't. And, the journey continued, and I'm okay with that. I'm heavily influenced by this rapper named Jay-Z, and, he had a song called You Have to Learn to Live with Regrets. And that's what I did. There are things in life that I've done that I do regret, but I've learned to live with them. And once I got out, that was the beginning of that. Learning to live that, yes, I made mistakes, but they don't define me. They don't define me. And, I'm so competitive. I was eager to show the world that wasn't me, that there is something else other than just, my mistakes.
Yeah. So tell us about the journey that led you from then to being a podcaster 10 years ago.
Wow. So it really started with YouTube. Before I actually started the podcast, I found, a Cuban boxer by the name of Yorokis Gamboa. Ironically enough, through my past life. So I had been following him since he was 4-0. And it's just been always a passion of mine. Boxing was, I remember watching boxing early on with my dad. And again, if maybe I had the proper guidance, not pointing the finger at dad, because luckily enough, some people can't say that they have their mother and their father in their relationship. And my mom and dad are together. Yeah. So I'm definitely not pointing the finger at my father or my mother, because they were very busy trying to keep a roof over our head and give us the best possible. But I did show a lot of interest in boxing early on. And again, I just didn't channel that properly. But later on in my life, that's really what saved me. Boxing is what saved me. Being able to do this podcast not only kept me sane, but really kept me in the house. It became a hobby, but slowly it was a passion, and then obviously, it turned into a job. So it not only kept me away from the street, but it gave me something to focus on, something to be proud of, and something to work towards.
Yeah. So how old are your kids? How many kids do you have?
So I have a set of twin daughters that actually already are in their 4th year of college, and they're going to extend. And I have a 21-year-old son, and my youngest is 14. Yes, so yep, wow. I have a lot of kids, and that's why I work as hard as I do.
So, when you speak about your past and you're speaking about your, the present now, what do you want your legacy to look like for your children?
Like I said, I just want them to be proud of who their father was, and that's what I work towards, being able to leave them something that they're not ashamed of, and hopefully leave them a little bit of something financially from the empire that I've been able to build. Yeah.
But also lead by example, right?
Absolutely.
That's what you've been doing.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the reasons why my son, who's 21, I had him come to the West Coast with me, because I want him to experience a different way of life and a different culture. Us being raised on the East Coast is totally different from the West Coast. It's a little bit harder to find Caribbean people on this side of town too, right? So he might break that cycle and marry someone outside of our normal. So I just want him to see and experience, and also I want him to be close to me so that he can see firsthand the difference in who I was and who I am.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about your podcast. Like, what is my podcast is on resilience, right? I know you love boxing, but what was the foundation of your podcast?
So, obviously with the mistakes that I made, I ended up having to get a real job one day, and I was a truck driver, and I needed to consume audio to stay sane on the road and to put in as many hours as possible. So I just never was able to find a podcast that done enough time. And by time, I mean enough episodes or at least hours to get me through my workday. And I quickly realized that I wasn't going to find that. And I decided to create my own. And really, that's what happened. It was always a hobby. I never, ever took it serious until I started to, go through the process of purchasing my first home. And when the underwriter is like, what's this deposit from Google every month? And I'm like, oh, it's my podcast. And then, I checked the deposit. And I'm like, wow, I'm making that much per month. I need to focus a little bit more attention on this. And I focused everything I had into it. It cost a lot. Relationships. I went through relationships and I've lost friendships because not everyone is going to see things the way you see them, and your goals and dreams and desires are your own, and you can't expect anyone to have the same passion or energy for those dreams or desires or goals to come true the way that you do. Other than yourself, you have to push for that, and not everyone is going to like your drive or hustle. It can drive a wedge between a relationship if you always want to work or you're always away for work. So it becomes difficult, but eventually you find the right person that understands your drive, and the balance makes sense.
Yeah, but they also say as we grow, right, we start losing people because we're here in the even playing field with people, but as we start moving up, we become a mirror to what they're not. Mm-hmm. Have you experienced some of that when you lost friends?
I have experienced a very close friend of mine tell me that I've changed, which I didn't feel that I did. It's just, again, I'm a little busier. I have to, put in a certain amount of hours and shake a certain amount of hands and network with a certain amount of people per day in order to continue to do what I do. And I love what I do. I mean, I believe in God. And I wake up every day and I say it on my airwaves every day as much as I can, that I feel blessed and that I am grateful to do what I do, because I couldn't see myself doing anything else and be this happy, So I'm just truly grateful that I have an audience that really rocks with me, basically, man. I'm just grateful.
Yeah, and I am really grateful to have you here, because I was like, George, Nestor's going to be on my podcast, but he doesn't want to share his story in advance. And he's like, do you know how lucky you are to have him? Because he's so busy. Like how many hours do you run a day for your podcast?
So my co-host let me know that we do a minimum of 40 hours live a week.
Oh my God.
But that's how I looked at it, Sally. Once I started working for myself and I went full time with this, which was in 2015, I had to make a choice because I went through a divorce. Yeah. So it's like, all right, I'm used to having two salaries, her salary and mine. What am I going to do? She's not here. I have to either go back in this truck and forget about this hobby that is turning into a very small business that I can see the potential. Yeah. Not only that, I can see a lifestyle. I'm feeling excited and I'm proud of who I can be if I can just turn that into something. I don't want to be the truck driver. No disrespect to my truck drivers, because I got a whole bunch of them that listen to my show, but that's not who Nestor Gibbs is supposed to be. Yeah. And that's who I wouldn't allow myself to just be. If you're comfortable with that, I'm not knocking you. But for me, I wanted more. So I had to take that leap of going full time with the podcast. And at that time in 2015, it just wasn't making enough money. It wasn't sustainable. And losing my wife, I was losing my house because I chose my dream. But putting in the amount of hours that I put in now on a day-to-day basis is really what saved me. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And this is what my audience like. They enjoy to hear me daily. And again, you have to feel blessed if people want to listen to you. And, right now, I know that I'm blessed because I've been fielding offers from numerous audio deals for the podcast. And, in receiving those offers, I've done a little bit of research and I realized that I'm in the 1% when it comes to downloads. Like people really listen to my show and, hundreds of thousands of people download it. So I'm just grateful, because again, those are things that like I never knew how much money the podcast was making until the bank told me. I never knew how many downloads I got until the competitors told me, So it's like I do this because it's my passion. I wake up at 4:30. I start my live at 6 a.m. We're on till about 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then I go to the gym to see the fighters anyway. It's not a job for me. It's truly a blessing.
That's very inspiring to me, a new podcaster who's starting out. So thank you for sharing that.
No, it is.
Yeah. And I'm really blessed to hear you say, you follow your God-given calling. You knew it wasn't driving a truck. And your calling is to be out there talking to people because they absolutely love it. But one of the words you kept talking about, and I love, is that you're not a statistic. So talk to our audience a little bit about that.
I mean, because if I wouldn't be in this position, oh my God, I would just be that. I would be a guy with a bunch of kids that is a minority that, makes a certain amount of money. I would be judged and looked at in a certain light. Yeah. And it's not what I want for myself, and it's not what I want for my children. Again, it's more about not having the people that I love be ashamed of anything that I've done. And instead, I plan on leaving more than enough for them to be proud of. That's it. Yeah. And that gives me drive, Yeah. Most people are looking for retirement in this age. And the truth is, what I do, I can do for the next maybe 30 years because I'm sitting in, I mean, right now, again, I can't. People are going to listen to it and say, well, he needs to work on his vocabulary because he's abusing the word blessed. But the new facility that we're at is 48,000 square feet. I start my show from a rooftop. I have my personal studio. It's bigger than my last studio. And this is all from a guy that started in like a 10 by 7 type of closet, So yeah. I'm just happy. Well, they're going to say I need to find a new vocabulary because all I keep saying to people is that you inspire me so much. This is so inspiring, all the stuff you're sharing. So what's your next step with your podcast? So, breaking news on the Sally Allen Show.
Yeah.
So today, I shared with my co-hosts, we just received the contract from Blue Wire. And not only will I be doing my show 7 days a week from the beautiful Peter Lick building here in Las Vegas, but I will be signing a deal to do my show 5 days a week as well. From the hours that they just text me are 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time till 3 from the Wynn Casino in the Blue Wire studio.
Whoa.
So I feel like I'm just, in heaven. I'm in heaven, wow. Because I would have never made the trip to Las Vegas. I would have always looked at the cost of living, the taxes, the houses, everything, and said, "No, I'm staying in my safe Florida home," But it's just been nothing but short of amazing being out here. I mean, from partnerships to sponsorships to networking, it's just been amazing. And to be able to do my show from the Wynn, where there's nothing but huge. I mean, the day that we went and toured the studio, I don't know those guys because I don't watch any other sports. Sally, I'm the first guy you're gonna meet that's never watched the Super Bowl, not a slam dunk contest, no home run, nothing, no derbies for me. But my co-host was ecstatic because there were like 12 NBA basketball players in the building at the studio. So that's such an amazing opportunity for us to network. And again, every day I feel blessed because I could have been a statistic. I could have still
Right.
been in Newark, New Jersey, or not made it out of
Yeah,
Newark, New
New Jersey,
Jersey.
yeah.
But here I am in Las Vegas at the Wynn Casino, and I'm going to be shaking hands with the biggest athletes in the world and interviewing the biggest guests in the world live from the Wynn. And then whenever I want, I'm also 7 days a week in my own studio. So yeah, I'm living the dream. I really am.
Well, congratulations. I am so happy for you. You've worked
Thank you.
hard from everything
Thank you.
you've shared. You've worked hard to get to where you are today, and I know you're excited about it.
Definitely excited.
Yeah, yeah. So what's a takeaway for our audience today?
I would definitely say, again, the cliche phrase is never give up. Never give up. I mean, I could have sulked. I could have been telling myself what many tell themselves, that they have they have a felony, or they're a convicted criminal, or, they don't have any help, because again, when I was losing my house, there was no one there. No one helped me. I had to get out of that forbearance. I had to do that on my own. And once you realize it's you that has to change and no one else, and you can't put the blame on anyone else because they don't want to help you, because they probably did in the past, and you've burnt that bridge, But I think crawling your way out is the best way, because you do it alone and you feel, you feel happier.
A sense of pride.
You definitely feel a sense of pride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it builds a strength muscle to say, I can do this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what's your advice for me as another podcaster?
Oh man, I would say just work. Like your show is based on interviews. I would say just keep this calendar full.
Yeah.
Because you're only one interview away. Like I'm making the decision with the Blue Wire deal because of a podcaster that had 400 views. I didn't know too much about Megaphone, who Blue Wire is partnered with. And I went on the internet and I found a woman that only has 400 views, but was very knowledgeable. And again, I feel blessed that I was able to reach out to her, and she was able to call me back and give me advice and talk to me about her own personal experiences with the company, and help me make a decision. So I would say just don't stop working, because it only takes one interview for the right person to contact you, and then your life changes.
Thank you so much. That's very encouraging. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That's why I brought you on the podcast, to encourage me. I'm just kidding.
No.
I wanted to hear your story and wanted our audience to hear your story. Well, my takeaway today is that success, it's not necessarily finances.
No, absolutely. Now, while it helps, it's not.
It's not. It's more important to be proud of yourself and what you do, and leaving that legacy
Because truthfully, I want to say this. I believe that now is when I'll get those finances. That's another thing that podcasters and even content creators need to understand. It is a long journey between making big bucks and not making big bucks. Again, I have 11 years on the internet, and I have a head start on you, right? Like when I started, podcasting was brand new.
Right.
I would tell people about the iPhone podcast app. They didn't know what I was talking about. I'm like, the purple app on your phone, it comes on your phone. It's like, what are you talking about? So, it's a lot of competition right now. So again, anyone that has an audience, feel blessed. And my advice would be just keep working to build that audience.
Man, I'm so excited to have you here today, and
Thank
there's
you.
such great takeaways. But you don't have to be a statistic. Follow your God-given gift and path where and where it's leading you, and then that would lead you to a life of resiliency. So, Nestor, thank you so much for being on our podcast, and we want to thank our audience. If you're watching us, rate, what's the thing? Like, review, rate, share with your friends.
Absolutely.
And
like, comment, and subscribe.
There you go, from the pro. And thank you to Sticky Paw Studios.